Check. Let me just make sure my levels are correct. What's going on, mother lovers? 1212. What's going on out there, man? Welcome back to another show. Some stuff you might not never know nothing about. That's right. And your host right here, MysDiggi, alongside my co-host, Dan DNA, man in the boards, as always. The electrician, the carpenter, the mason. The mason, yeah. Keep that one on the low. He's, lower level mason, but he's working his way up the pyramid slowly. What's going on, bruv? You enjoying the weather?
Yeah. What have we had, really? Like a bit of cold, bit of rain.
Nothing special, innit? We're still in winter, so, there's a good excuse
Well,
there.
it's still not even the new year yet, so...
Exactly. I think people got a bit too excited. They saw a bit of sun. They was like, wow, boy, I can get the toes out.
Yeah.
I can wear shorts. Yeah. Now mother lovers are ill. They're like, I think I got the Rona, man. I think... Yo, it's getting deep out here, man. Big up all the crew locked in already. Welcome back. As always, man, we had a great chat. Last week, we had our brother DVG. He came through with Gabby Sakara. We had an amazing chat. I think we went elsewhere with it, D. It was, you know what I mean? It was fun.
It's our ongoing Mems Introduces series, isn't it? That's what's happening. Is we've got like a sort of, he's bringing us into some sort of new blood and taking us in new directions.
Yeah, for sure, it's man. Nice, yeah. And what I liked is that people were really open to what she was talking about, even if they're a little bit confused, and that can happen when you're learning new things, but it really helped, I think, a lot of people understand more about, this is why I feel this way at certain times, or, which is quite helpful, man. And it was a level, like we were talking about, levels of ascension. There are levels in it to get to, and you can see things happening there. I believe today tonight we're gonna end up on another level of ascension.
Yeah.
Like we're going to go even higher up because, it's going to be a deep one. I'm really excited about tonight. You know what I mean? People know I love I'm into health. Back in the day, nutrition. Who remembers Music Maestro? Even though the track had nothing to do with nutrition. You listen to the track. I'm talking about, keeping healthy. You know what I mean? At the same time. But now I know a lot more. And it's with the help of our guest tonight, I've got to say, as well as a bunch of other people, man. But it's going to be a fun one, man. Shout out to the crew locked in, Mr. Green, King Chico, Yamore, Robbie Love as always, Turbo Turbolicious. Nice one, JM. Good to see you, bruv. We saw him the other week at the
Flavor of the Month
with 279 and crew, man. That was wicked. Shout out to Blue Fliggy, Bluefoot in the house. It's been a minute since we've seen you, bruv. What's going on?
Has he been wild camping?
What? You're going to live long, bruv, because I was like, right, where's Bluefoot, man? We ain't seen Bluefoot up in this mother lover for a minute. But he's back. That's good to see, man.
Is he on Twitch as well? Or is he in
It's on YouTube,
he in the YouTube?
Oh, YouTube, right. Yeah. You hit the like button, the share. If you ain't subscribed already, please do that. This is something you might not never know nothing about. A podcast where we give you exactly that. We do our best to bring you that. Do you know what I mean? Because it's important for people, I think, to have an open mind. You never know what you don't know until you know it. You realize there's a whole lot more. And you don't have to get too deep into it where your mind goes crazy. Just get into the stuff that you like. Do you know what I mean? Try and master that for starters. That's what it's really about. And so we try and bring a few different people on to, with different aspects of life and different views on how the world works, the way the world works.
Yeah.
And I think it's important for people to learn that.
The good thing with our chat is that they are quite open-minded. I think that's what I like that everybody's even and you are. Even the people, we've got some skeptics in the chat, which is good.
Always,
it's good to have some really skeptical people. You are.
You have to be skeptical.
But it's nice that they stick around still, and they just dip in and out. And the ones where you might not necessarily I mean, if you don't agree with something and you can't just let it just be there, you've got to ask yourself why it is you're being so triggered by it.
Yeah, there's something a lot deeper down that you've got to look at, right?
Yeah.
Stop looking in the mirror, start looking.
If you can just let it ride and let people be into it, that's all good. But if you're finding yourself getting angry about something someone's talking about,
this is the thing, man.
And maybe it's best you listen.
What's amazing is that social networking has just made that it's magnified it to a next level. People will have a whole messed up 2 weeks.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. A fortnight of just bad behavior, bad feelings, like bad energy, smashing things by accident, having arguments, this, that, and the third, just because they've been going back and forth with someone on Facebook about something they don't agree with. It's like, yo, is it changing your life? It changing your life? It is now. It is now. It is now, man. It's crazy.
Big up, Mr. Green.
Yes, big up, Mr. Shout out to Liz Williams in the building. Wow, man. Yeah, I've seen it. I've seen it now. I've seen it for sure. Like the level that people go to, back and forth. It's like if you comment on something and then people start arguing on that comment, you're involved every reply. Yeah. It's just like, yo, these lot are going in.
Yeah.
This really means something to them. This is really going to change their life after this. Like comments on Instagram. You think the world is going to be a different place after this. Like you fulfilled part of your destiny by going back and forth. It's madness, man. But yeah, this is the way the world is working. And it's quite obvious to see where all the distractions are, man. That's why we got to big up people that know their way through all this madness, how to navigate without getting caught up in all the bloody-blah, the bloody-blue, you know what I mean? The whole spaghetti junction of thoughts that they try and get us controlled by. And yeah, I think it's like it is fun hearing what some of the comment sections say. Shout out to the uncommon senses. That's who they are, man. Yep. Yeah. And we got a wicked one tonight, man. I'm telling you that. Because for me, I definitely benefited from like the knowledge that this lady here has spread across the world for some years now. Like quite a few. I think I first went to the website like, it's got to be at least 10 years ago now. Easily. You know what I mean? I needed to get some of that blue-green algae, some acai. You know what I mean? Maca.
Yeah, I mean it's all stuff that's like in everyday vocabulary now. But a few years back, COVID's really helped bring all this sort of stuff into a more like mainstream mindsets, But I think back to like 2017, 2016 or whatever,
people were lost, man.
No one was really talking about.
They're talking about seitan. Remember that? What the hell was that thing? Seitan. Yeah. It's like, do you remember the deep fried? What was it? Deep fried what?
I don't know. Some kind of plant matter or bean or I don't know.
But yo, before we go any further, you know what we got to do, mother lovers. We got to give a big shout out, especially for those who love their sea vegetables. We got to give a massive shout out to the seamossboss.co.uk. Make sure you go there if you want to get any quality sea vegetables, wild crafted, 100% organic from the unspoilt coasts of Donegal. I love saying that. Also known as the Wild Atlantic Way. You can get yourself Irish moss gels, infused with bladderwrack. You can also get yourself dulse, wakame, spirulina, bladderwrack. You can get yourself sea spice. You can get yourself sea salt infused with kelp and many various products. We've reeled off so many times the benefits of these sea vegetables. But let me remind you, thyroid support. It can help you rid the body of excess mucus. Digestive health. mood enhancement. These things are beneficial in life, ladies and gentlemen. And especially because Lord knows we are here for this. Supporting the reproductive health. Can I get an amen for that, please? Because you got to support that. Don't let past the offerings come out. Weight management. Telling you, CMOS can help you with, if you want to get on the fasting, like it's quite nutrient dense and really can help you with that. There's a lot more information out there. You don't have to believe me, man. Go out there and find for yourself, because that's the only way you'll really believe it. But trust me when I say, because I buy from these guys. That's the reason why I'm telling you that. The cmosboss.co.uk has some quality products that are all, as we said, organic and well-crafted. And they've been kind enough to allow us to spread the word and let you know that if you want to get yourself 20% off any order, all you have to do at the checkout is type in about 20, ABOUT 20, and you'll get yourself 20% off any order from the cmosboss.co.uk. Mother lovers. Amen. Run around and get the offerings quick, man. Before them not leave. Yeah. Yeah, man. And so, it begins, ladies and gents. As I was saying, man, there was a time I had no idea. That I was supposed to be drinking water regularly. I thought, you know what I mean? I'm thirsty, right? Let me get a little Fanta. Let me get a little, you know what I mean? A diet, and you know what? Like Coca-Cola, but let me get a Diet Coke because, I'll just keep the balance. Like, I'm thinking I'm doing the right thing, D. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You think, you're like, all right, let me get off the fizzies. All right, let me get a juice. And then you go get a box juice, like the concentrate. You're like, right, you don't realize.
It's true, I know.
Do you know what I mean? You think you're doing the right thing, but you're not. Yeah. And until you get that wake up, the hand of God slaps you in the face and then goes, nah, it's not that. This is what it is. You start to learn about, how basically the best idea in terms of getting nutrients and whatnot is from, real food. Do you know what I mean? And the idea of fast food, getting food really quickly, just flinging it in the microwave, eating it, whatever it is, may not be as good for you as you think. That's just going to keep you running to work. Get a coffee, fast food, bam. Now think about what that means. Fast food. Fasting. What is fasting? It's when you don't eat. So fast food, does that mean I'm not really eating anything? It does mean exactly that, mother lovers. You're not eating anything. There's no nutrients in none of that. You know what I mean? So that means you ain't really going to get nothing out of it. You might be full up. That's about it. But your body's still going to be wanting more. That's why that Big Mac meal is never enough. It's not enough. You need to keep adding. Let me get 6 nuggets with that. Let me get a dip. Let me get a double cheeseburger added on that, because you just need to keep eating and eating. But once you learn, it's all about nutrient-dense foods. It's a whole different thing. And then you get into superfoods. What are these superfoods? Yep, I can hear you. Can you hear us? Can you hear us? Oh, there you are. Yeah. Yeah, man. So I was talking about superfoods. Yes, I had no idea until I ran into I'm Googling stuff. I'm sure this is about maybe 2011 or something like that, 2012. Are you here now?
I've been going 20 years.
Live, yeah.
Oh, see it. You've been going for 20 years. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Kate Magic, by the way. Let's get some fire emojis there in the comments section. The common sensors, we call them. Because we've called ourselves the common sensors, but we realized after a couple of years that common sense is not that common at all.
Yes, for sure.
So yeah, like I was saying, once I got a bit more hip to the idea of like what I'm supposed to be eating, like what nutrition is, yeah, I started Googling, trying to find stuff. I think one of the first things was the blue-green algae. I'm pretty sure it was that. And
Amazing.
Then your website came up, Raw Living, but it was .eu, I think then.
Yeah, Brexit put end to that. We're not allowed to be .eu anymore.
Yeah, and then, you know, obviously started browsing and looking at more stuff. I was like, what? Okay. You know, as soon as you start investigating, trying to find out what is this? Okay, kelp and, you know, all these different products you had on there, I realized this was the spot. So obviously I'd seen you out and about and then got a chance to speak to you about whether you'd like to come on. And we really appreciate you coming on, spending your time with us.
It's my pleasure. Thank you for asking.
This is my co-host, Dan DNA.
Hi, Dan.
Hello. Hi. Sorry, that was me that was bringing you in.
Yeah.
Hello.
All right. And
You'll
so
see me somewhere early.
So for those who don't know you, obviously, you know, we'll get into the whole idea of the nutrition and everything. I wanted to find out myself, like, how did you find out about, you know, the understanding that, okay, things aren't what they seem. And so waking up to, I'm allowed to walk this path and find out about nutrition.
You mean with food or with everything generally?
With food, first of all.
Yeah, it's actually the most common question that I used to get asked when it was like trendy, and I used to do a lot more interviews. And I used to first of all say I didn't used to have a good answer, and then I realized, which now is like common. In fact, I think you might have even been talking about this already. But basically, everything is frequency, right? And all food has a frequency. And I just never liked what I would now call matrix food. I never liked matrix food. So I didn't like bread. I thought bread was really boring. I didn't understand why everyone ate so much bread. I didn't like dairy products. I think now I would have been classed as gluten intolerant and lactose intolerant. But again, you know, back then people didn't know about that stuff. So I didn't like meat. I basically didn't like any of the food that I was given as a child. And I left home really young. And then when I was allowed to make my own food choices, I became vegetarian, I became vegan. And I just intuitively started eating raw foods. And it was in 1992 when I met someone and he said to me, oh, you're a raw fooder. You eat like a raw fooder. And that's when I learned that there was this whole concept of doing raw foods. And that's when I consciously decided that's what I was. But I was doing it before I put a label on it. And actually, once I put a label on it, in some ways that made it harder, because then I thought, oh, I'm allowed to do this, I'm not allowed to do that. And I started running into more issues than when I'd just been intuitively eating and allowing myself to eat whatever felt right. Yeah, I think in some ways I was getting on better just listening to my body, and then I put a label on it. But then that means that's how I learn. And I always say I feel like I was a guinea pig. Is I tested everything out on myself. And so I really say, hand on heart, I know this works because I've got direct experience of doing it wrong and doing it right. So then I can say, you know, this is what I believe works. And again, it's always individual. Health is such an individual thing. So it's always about listening to people that have a similar lifestyle to you, live in a similar climate to you, have a similar body type to you. Those are the people that are gonna, whatever they're doing is gonna resonate with you, because if we were living in the tropics, we'd probably need to eat different things. If we're living in a less polluted environment, we need to eat different things. So it really does vary.
That's I think it's that side of it that really kind of, you know, it makes it quite obvious that, okay, this is a lot more deeper than people think, you know, like you're saying about living in a different environment, and to do with the idea of, you know, what kind of toxins we're taking in. There are foods that can help us get rid of those toxins, right?
Right.
But we don't really understand it in that sort of way. We just like, oh, right, what time is it? Okay, you need to eat, and just get full up. And that's it.
Well, I would say, you know, you said you wanted to go deep, so I'm going to go right in there. I'd say the environment has been weaponized against us. The food, the water, the air, it's all been weaponized against us. And when we start going down the rabbit holes and we discover different things, you know, you put the pieces together, you start learning about chemtrails or whatever, and you start putting the pieces together. Maybe you've seen Cowspiracy, or there's so many documentaries now, right? And you realize actually there's an agenda. and that agenda isn't in our interests.
Yeah.
And the main weapons they use against us are the air, the food, and the water. And, just to take water for obvious example, I'm guessing that most people listening now to your podcast will be aware that fluoride is a neurotoxin, right? So they put fluoride in the water. It makes you sleepy. It makes you not question things. And that's how they get away with a lot of stuff, because we just have all these chemicals that calcify in the pineal gland, and people have physically lost the ability to think for themselves. Yeah. And then you combine that with, I was listening to you chatting in the beginning, you combine that with social media, right?
Yeah.
It's just programming, right? And now people have lost the ability to use this. It's just they're just receiving information and not having any internal awareness of how to process and deal with that information.
So this is what I was asking at the beginning about the sort of time of waking up. Like, so there's the food side, and do you feel like that kind of led into you waking up even to to this matrix, that or did that happen before?
Yeah, I mean, I think it goes hand in hand, but for me it was the reverse.
Okay.
And I don't still really understand why that was, because for most people they have a health issue or something, and that's what gets them into raw foods. But for me, I just came in on this frequency, and I've always been on this frequency. So I feel like I'm really here to hold a vibration, hold a frequency. So I had to find the foods that match my frequency, because I ate the other foods and I just felt really bad. I didn't feel comfortable in my body. So I had to do the research, but then it's always a process, right? So A, you're always discovering more foods. B, stuff happens in life where you think you're doing great, and then whoosh, like something knocks you off track, right?
Yeah.
And, like one of my early things was having babies. So it's one thing doing it when you're a single person, you don't have a lot of responsibilities, you can take your time about things. But, as soon as I started having babies, that's a whole different ball game. And that, really taught me so much. And obviously we've all been through this, what I would call a mass trauma event in 2020, and that's destabilized everyone to varying degrees, but we've all been knocked by that. So all these things happen in life, and you just keep on your journey and you keep listening to your body, and ultimately it's all one, right? Body, mind, spirit, it is all one. So what you do with your body affects your spiritual consciousness. What you do with your consciousness affects your body. It's all in the quantum level. It's all the same thing ultimately.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, so once you started getting into this, obviously you decided to sort of venture to other places around the world, I guess, is that right? And find other foods that were, beneficial to us that we might not find here. But I'm wondering then, if it was all the way back then, how were you buying books and finding out in that way? Or, because, like I just said to you earlier, I was just Googling, you must be like, yeah, see how easy it is now. How were you finding out about these sort of foods back then?
When in the beginning, we didn't even have the internet.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, how...
you couldn't even Google or put into Amazon search raw food book. So you had to know what the book was and where to buy it. I had 2 books. I had Victoria Skowronska's Survival into the 21st Century. It's got a beautiful cover by Peter Max, if you know that 70s artist, Peter Max. And then I had Anne Wigmore, Recipes for Longer Life. And they founded the Hippocrates Health Institute, which is still going now. And Hippocrates was has always been a big main centre for using raw foods and juicing and sprouting as a means of healing. And they have an amazing track record of healing people with chronic conditions. So people that the doctors say, as doctors so kindly do, you've got 6 months to live. There's nothing we can do for you.
Yeah.
And then they go to Hippocrates, and they have an amazing record of reversing conditions like cancer and diabetes and heart disease and all those kind of things. So, they always call them the godparents or the grandparents of the raw food movement, Victoria Skowronska and Anne Wigmore. But really, like I say, I learned from listening to my body and being like a kind of guinea pig. And then it was 2005 that David Wolf, if you know, David
Wolf,
he was the first person to bring cacao into the raw food world. So he was in Hawaii, and I believe that was in 2003, maybe 2002. He was in Hawaii, and someone gave him a raw cacao bean. And he just was like, wow, I'm going to, he was already well known in the raw food movement. So it was his company, which was back then Sun Food. They brought the cacao, and then we just had cacao beans. We had no cacao powder and cacao butter and cacao nibs. None of that. We just had the whole beans. That was 2005. And then with that, he started working with the Peruvian farmers. So we started getting maca at the same time.
Wow.
So that was the beginning of the superfoods kind of thing. And then I guess it's partly doing the research, and it's partly people coming to us and saying, oh, do you want to sell this? So you just kind of become a magnet for all this stuff once you're there.
Yeah. And so the stuff like the maca, was that just the root then you were getting it, because it wasn't in powder form?
No, actually, it's illegal to export maca, lucuma, yacon. It's illegal to export them out of South America because Peru particularly is really hostile terrain, and they don't have a lot of indigenous crops, and so they've protected their crops. So you can only export the powder or the dried root. You're not allowed to export the whole root. So I'd say cacao beans was 2005, and then probably 2006 was maca, goji berries. We already had spirulina and bee pollen. I wrote my book in 2002. Eat Smart, Eat Raw, and then that's when I set up the website, and we just sold raw tahini, bee pollen, Klamath Lake algae, and juices. I think that was it. We had like 5 products.
Wow. And look at it's turned into a monster now. There's so many different products on there.
Yeah, got over 1,000.
Wow. People check it out, rawliving.co.uk. We'll put it in the chat and whatnot, in the description as well. And because the people used to talk about so like the bee pollen, and then obviously acai, like that. Or people say acai, whichever. But you got Brazilian friends, in Houston talking about he's acai, he's born acai, and then I saw it on there, and then you start hearing about so these are superfoods, and so why are they called superfoods? Is because these are nutrient dense and way more than other foods out there. But it seems to be there's more than that. Like there's some kind of vibrational level, because even 2 of the things mentioned, cacao, you have cacao ceremonies out in places like Peru, around the world now. And then the same thing with acai. There were some acai ceremonies that people have as well. I was like, what? And then obviously, the more you dig into it, you start to realize there is a vibrational connection. Often heard Dr. Sebi talking about that as well.
Right.
How did you come into that? And did you even believe in it when you first found out, or was it just like,
Yeah, well, there's different ways to describe it, but I guess I would say I'm highly sensitive. So I really feel things really deeply, and sometimes can be a blessing. Sometimes it feels like I don't want to say a curse, but sometimes it's challenging to be like really sensitive. But I've always been really sensitive to food, so I guess that makes me a good guinea pig because I can really feel into the energy of the plant, and I was just trying to get this sense. I can really feel into the energy of the plant, and I can really understand what it's doing on quite a deep level, and then that helps me be able to communicate to people like what that energy of the plant is. So, for example, maca is the plant that grows at the highest altitudes. There's no other plant that grows at such high altitudes. So if you think about your day ahead of you and you feel like you have to climb a mountain, that's the energy maca gives you. It gives you the energy to climb a mountain. There's no other plant that can withstand such extremes in temperature, because it grows at the top of the mountain, so it can withstand extreme heat and extreme cold. So it gives you that energy of resilience. And the Peruvian women, they actually make a porridge out of it, or they make fries out of it. But the Peruvian women who are up and down the mountain all day with their donkeys, they eat a lot of maca. So it gives you that energy of like, you can just get on with climbing the mountain. Yeah. And then bee pollen is another good example, because bees, I forget how many it is now, but they have to fly to like 100 flowers just to collect a teaspoon of pollen. So if you've got one of those days where you're like, shh, you have to be like this. Bee pollen gives you that energy to like buzz around onto the flowers and get everything done. If you want to sit at your desk all day and work, bee pollen's not good, because you've got to be like this. But if you've got loads to do and it's like a long slog, then maca gives you that stamina.
Yeah. Because I noticed that with the acai, you just kind of feel like, I'm ready to do stuff now, man. Like, you just have that high energy type vibe, you know? It's mad. It's crazy. But yeah, I think also what's happened, you know, going back to what you're saying, is that it means that we're more detached from what the foods are doing to us. So a lot of people have got different ailments, whether it be, you know, the obvious like constipation or whatever. But then even like they might oftenly get sore throats or, you know, back pain or something, not realizing it's actually what they're putting into their system that's, you know, adding to this, because the frequency of that food is very low, you know?
Yeah, I think it's really important to understand the agenda that's being perpetrated against us right now. And in a way, well, you know, everything's kind of nuanced, right? But a lot of it is about taking responsibility for your health yourself and really, you know, taking that self-responsibility. But also it's understanding the level of the crime that's being perpetrated against us. And then it's like, oh, well, it makes sense why we're all ill.
Yeah.
Because there's a very concerted agenda to suppress health information, to suppress the accessibility of healthy foods, and to promote stuff that is basically killing us.
Like, you know, when the lockdown was happening, we were joking about it, but you know, it's quite serious when you think about the only sort of food shops open were like off licenses or, you know, junk fast food. Like
well, everyone's got different stories of that time, and you know, everyone kind of came to realizations at different stages. But for me, it was immediate, because I was like, this has nothing to do with health. Sorry. This is like everything they were telling us to do are the worst things for your health. Stay inside, don't get any sunlight, don't see your friends. That's all the worst things for your health. No one was saying, you know, and actually I was in Singapore just early March 2020. I was in Singapore, and in Singapore they had signs in the pharmacies like, take astragalus, which is a Chinese herb, which is really good for the immune system. Take manuka honey. Like, they were telling people what to do in this country. Not a peep.
Wow. That's because, then Singapore got hardcore all of a sudden.
Well, they'd had SARS before, so there was like signs, kimchi, like there was like signs in the kimchi shop saying kimchi was proven to halt SARS virus, so eat kimchi and you might not get corona. So I think in
people
all
were
countries,
selling,
right,
they're making money out.
There's a difference to what the governments are perpetrating and what the people are doing. So I guess in Singapore the regulations are less strict, so the people can like spread information that they know works. Whereas here, I would say in terms of health, we're one of the most heavily censored countries in the world, in the UK.
Yeah, it seems so. Because I don't really get to hear much from people in the UK. It's more from the US and Australia, Canada, and things like that. So, you know, that's why it's a blessing to have a site like yours nearby. Do you know what I mean? Where we can get the stuff that we need quite easily.
Yeah, but we're not allowed to say so much of the stuff we want to say. It's all censored and trying to get in the middle.
What have they done? So when you say that, because we were talking about that with Homeboy Sandman a few weeks ago in terms of censorship and how crazy it is now. The things that you'd think like, what does that matter to you that you can't say anymore? We noticed it, you know, from buying off the site. Like there was a whole bunch of text that wasn't there anymore.
Yeah.
And so for people who don't know, it was just things that, you know, were said to be medicinal about some of these foods, you know.
Well, there's always been regulations, and there's always, so a good example is in 1927. I might have got that wrong, but I think it was 1927. They passed it might be 1931, around that time. They passed the National Cancer Act in the UK. So the National Cancer Act says what is legal as a cancer treatment and what is illegal. So basically the only legal cancer treatments are chemo and radiotherapy. Everything else is illegal. So you can't prescribe any other treatment for cancer. At that point, I think it was 1931. At that point, the cancer rates in the UK were 1 in 72. 1 in 72 people were predicted to get cancer. When I started doing talks, which was 20 years ago, I used to ask my audience who in the audience had someone close to them who'd had cancer, and I would say maybe 1 in 10 people raise their hands. If you've got 20 people in an audience, maybe 2 or 3 people would raise their hand. After a while, I just stopped asking because it would break my heart too much because everyone raised their hand. Now it's the cancer rates of 1 in 2.
Wow.
Right? So since they prescribed the medical model and made everything else illegal, 1931, that's nearly 100 years, cancer rates have, I don't know how to do the maths on that, but gone from 1 in 72 to 1 in 2. I mean, and that's just one example. Crazy. It's like when I was a kid, nobody knew what Alzheimer's was, nobody knew what autism was. All these things are just, I would say, a direct correlation between what is being fed into our environment, in the food, in the air, in the water. And it's all to do. So there's and I haven't looked at this for a while, so I might get the numbers wrong and stuff, but there's a law called Codex Alimentarius. It's an international law, and it just means food law. All the countries sign up to be a part of that. And that's part of what, but okay, so this is the thing. So when they started Codex Alimentarius, it was after the Second World War, I think, and it was to support international trade, supposedly, so that there was international regulations around food, so that if countries wanted to export to each other, there was like an agreement of what foods were. Like, you can't put this into this and still call it wheat. If you put all this stuff in it, it's not wheat anymore, something like that. It was meant to be sensible. But then as international trade progressed, they decided it wasn't worth having this agreement anymore. It was like kind of not useful anymore, and they were going to expire it. And then I want to say it was in the 80s, but I might have got that wrong. They were saying, okay, we're going to stop doing this. And then instead what happened was the pharmaceutical companies came in and just kind of bought it. So from that point on, then Codex Alimentarius, this international food regulation, became infiltrated by the pharmaceutical companies. And so they create all these regulations around what you can and cannot say. And these are international regulations that all the countries agree to abide by. And then the thing that happened in 2013, which probably you were shopping in the website before 2013, and that's when we had to take everything down. Was that EU laws got passed, which is the THMPD, Traditional Herbal Medicines Product Directive, and that says that you can't you can't sell a traditional herbal medicine unless you're a herbalist with a license. But they don't. They will grant exceptions. They will grant like licenses to products, but they basically don't. So loads and loads of people apply, and it takes months and months to apply, and you have to spend a 5-figure sum, and then they still turn you down for applying. And say you wanted to apply for a license for ashwagandha, and you got your ashwagandha agreed. If I wanted to import ashwagandha as well, I'd need a whole new license. I couldn't just say, well, he did all the paperwork and they said ashwagandha's good. I'd have to do my whole process again, unless I bought it from you. If I bought it from you, I'm all right. But if I want to import it myself and be a distributor, then I have to do that. And then the other thing is that the big one is the NHCR, which is the Natural Health Claims Regulation, and that means you can't. At the time, it was just outrageous. There were these guys that proved how ridiculous it was because they put in a claim to say water is good for hydration, and it got turned down.
What? Are you serious?
Because they have this thing about like double-blind, placebo-controlled trials, and so they have like this really strict way of measuring that you can prove. And they said, well, you can't say water's good for hydration because other things are good for hydration as well. So you can't say that water's good for hydration. So basically, you can't sell any herbs, and you can't tell anyone what they're good for, and that's meant to be protecting the consumer.
Yeah. It's always masked as that. It's always masked as for your protection. We do this, and then look, and that's the inversion. We're always talking about this on the show, about the inversion with everything. You start to understand, like, oh right, okay. So this is how I just read everything now. When you say I should do this, I'll go and do that. Do you know what I mean? Like, it just makes life a lot easier now. I know how to navigate through this weirdo system you lot want to set up. But the hard thing is just waking other, all these other mother lovers up out there that just don't quite get it. And I think, that's the tricky part. I see that you do seminars, is that right? And courses as well to help people enable themselves to find their inner soul, like their true soul, remember who they were and know who they are, and then become to, be able to break out of that shell. Like, I think a lot of people really struggle with that at the moment. But I think they should get in touch with you about that. How does that go about? Can you expand?
Well, I always say when you're really awake, you realise the only person you got to wake up is yourself. So, I think a big part of actually is being better at minding your own business. I think that's a big problem at the moment. Is like you were saying about the social media, it's just a distraction. It's just a big distraction to get everyone out of their own business, because your own business is, are you taking care of your body temple? Are you taking care of your mind? Are you taking care of your spiritual health? Are you taking care of this little patch of earth that you're entrusted to, even if it's temporarily? Like, how are you taking care of your surroundings? Are you taking care of your loved ones? Are you taking care of your business? Are you contributing to society? That's a full-time job, right?
That's your
like
business.
Actually, it's really about how do we cultivate this inner sense of balance and this inner sense of rightness and inner peace. And the more you're aware of that, the more it just becomes a full-time job. And actually, you actually get less and less impacted. You get less and less triggered. You get less and less impacted by what anyone else is doing, because the right people come to you, just like how we met. The right situations, you just find yourself. That's what's called magic. Just right time, right place. And there's a flow, because we're working with natural law. Right? We're working with universal law. And there's a flow, and there's a power, and there's a grace to that. That means we can bun Babylon.
For real.
Babylon's just not cutting it, and it's
a facade, isn't it?
You're just less fussed by it all. It's like they can just be over there doing all their nonsense, but you got all this stuff going on.
So much
sitting here having this chat, right?
So much to learn. This is the thing, I feel like that 2020 onwards, it just like unveiled like this whole labyrinth of information and stuff that you kind of heard things like people, viruses don't exist. You hear this and that, but you don't, whatever. I don't know what they're talking about. But then all of a sudden, they messed up. Like, these entities messed up by giving me the time to sit down. I got all this time to sit down. I ain't got no gigs. I ain't got no work. I ain't got nothing to do. Let me read this book now. I bought it like 7-8 years ago. I'll watch this video. It's 2.5 hours, but you know what? I watch half an hour, go make a sandwich, come back, like watch it in increments. I got the time now. And then all of a sudden, you're just like, oh my days. I didn't realize I was this asleep. Do you know what I mean? Like, I didn't think it was that bad. You know what I mean? Like, you had your 9/11 thing. It was like a wake-up call for quite a lot of people, and you start to realize, oh, wow, they manipulate things and make you believe, but you don't know whether it's true or not. Now you're like, oh, definitely. Like we were saying, what was he talking? You was like, yeah, they lie about anything now. They lie about everything, so why not,
I think the funniest one is the moon landings. Like, when you see the videos, you're like, how did anyone ever believe
who's filming that? Who
hilarious.
Landed already and filmed that? Like, how did, I mean, there's so much.
It's all tin foil. They're all made of tin foil.
I was literally just watching the moon landing videos before I came out tonight. the hoax ones, some of the old ones I first got into. It's funny that.
There's a video where they show, what is it? I think they show, they speed up, like they show the people like walking on the moon, the astronauts, and they speed it up, and it just looks like them walking, just jumping, walking like that. Like they're just bopping.
It's just so much. I watched this because it's a video I watched years ago. That was the first. When I watched this video, what happened on the way to the moon? I think it's called.
Oh yeah.
And after that, I was like, nah, they didn't go to the moon straight away. After I watched that one video, and I just watched it all again. There's so much in there.
Yeah.
Where you're sort of you can't even remember it all. There's just so much stuff against it.
Stanley Kubrick said he did it before they killed him. Stanley Kubrick said that.
So he did, yeah. I've heard about that,
but just trying to even talk to people who don't know about it, and the immediate thing is just like, no, you're crazy.
Yeah,
it's like once you see it all laid out, you're like, oh no, of course, yeah. No, there's no way they could have gone.
Yeah, but it's just
on the surface.
It's weird though because.
And that's the same with everything.
You realize, like, this is, the idea is just to plant the image in your mind. As long as they keep, films, like, you see it with kids stuff. You see, like, their books, like, everything has got some form of, astronauts, rockets, and aliens, and something that just keeps it lingering, that's real. And then that's it. You grow up and someone says that to you, like, what are you talking about? You ain't been there. You ain't even looked through a telescope or nothing to see anything, but that's it. That's the be all and end all. You know what I mean? It's crazy, man. Crazy. But yeah, it's very interesting though at the same time, I think. Very interesting for us. Right, so there's some of these foods I wanted to talk about, like if you wouldn't mind getting into like, one of them was the camu camu. This was... Yeah, I've told a lot of people about camu camu. Nearly everyone who knows me close to me, I said, bruv, you got to get camu camu because this is like potent in terms of vitamin C, easily one of the most potent fruits as far as I'm aware. And then also the thing about it being like the highest level of vitamin C, is that right? And then the fact that you can absorb it better because it's part of the whole food. Can you get into that, please?
We used to say it's an Amazonian berry.
Yeah.
It's a bit debatable about the vitamin C because our camu camu is raw, but because it's been powdered, it's a bit debatable how much is left. But vitamin C is a really powerful antiviral. So camu, I would always have, always give to people if they feel like they're coming down with something, that kind of onset of a flu-y thing, and it's really good in smoothies. It's got a kind of lemony flavour. So I like to use it just to kind of lift a sweet recipe. So like I make a camu fudge. So it's kind of very sour on its own, but if you put it into a sweet recipe, it just kind of lifts the sweetness. And I used to make camu fudge for the kids a lot, or camu smoothies when they were little.
Them recipes are on rawliving.co.uk, right? And one of your books, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, there's a couple recipe books there. People definitely need to get into. And what was the other one? So it's the camu camu, and then the blue-green algae. You mentioned that earlier, the Clamiflake blue-green algae. So this is a really potent, like a sea vegetable, right? It's one of the ones that really helped me when I started doing the intermittent fasting.
Right.
It's like I just found that I didn't really have to eat as much.
Right.
And then understanding how it was quite nutrient dense. Is that right?
Yeah, it's a complete food. Clamiflake algae and bee pollen are both complete foods. And also bladderwrack, I think, is as well, you were just mentioning. So you could technically live on them if you were on a desert island. You could technically live. Certainly bee pollen has everything in that you need to live on.
Wow.
But Clamiflake algae as well. Clamiflake algae, so it's a microalgae. So spirulina is a microalgae, chlorella, and Clamiflake algae. Clamiflake algae is the only one that's wild. So spirulina and chlorella are farmed a lot in China. And Clamiflake algae, which I actually went past once on a train. It was amazing. And I had, I was listening to music, and I had I think it was Stand on the Word. You know that song, Stand on the Words? It's like a
Stand on the
really
Word.
spiritual house. It was like a Larry Levan tune. Stand on the word of God.
Right.
And
So it dropped
that
at the
came
right
on as I
time.
was going past the
Yeah,
Klamath Lake.
yeah.
And it was a really spiritual experience. So I have seen the lake, but it's a lake in Oregon. And you have the mountains, and then the lake is like underneath the mountains, next to the mountains. And so they go out in their boats and they collect the algae, but it's a wild algae, so it's a lot more potent than spirulina and chlorella.
Yeah.
And we have our own brand, We're Living, but there's also E3 brand, which are the like original brand, and there's like really potent blue green algae products. And my favorite is probably, I love their blue green algae because it's like a bit sparkly. But they also do one called Blue Magic, which is the blue pigment extracted from the blue green algae, and it's like blue sparkly powder, and it's really good for your brain, really good for your third eye.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. And that's the other thing as well, is how much you really feel it on a vibrational level, like on a I realize it's spiritual level. You know, there's foods that there's definitely some kind of vibration to this, because every time I have it, I feel like, yo, all right, let's do this. Or, you know, I have more energy. Like you'll be at training and you just feel like, wow, I feel a lot stronger than I did yesterday. I don't know. You realize it's because of that maca, or, you know, that acai. Like just fling that in your breakfast, you know, and it helps. So I think a lot more people should get into it, because I feel like it's part of the wake up. You know what I mean? I think if you're still stuffing yourself with the wrong things, you're kind of clogging up your ability to sort of connect with that higher consciousness, you know, that collective consciousness that we're talking about.
And it's understanding the matrix, right? It's understanding that, you know, there's different ways of framing it, but we live in an artificially created environment, which is a weaponized environment, and we need to, this whole shift is about us going back to natural law, like I was saying, and working with Mother Nature instead of against her. And so we need to eat the most powerful foods that Mother Nature has created for us, which is reishi and Klamath algae and bee pollen and camu camu and all these things. And just if we're, you know, the way I see it, the matrix is crumbling, and it's crumbling whether we like it or not. So we can either like crumble along with it, or we can get out as fast as we can and you know, be a part of building the new whatever's coming next.
It's funny. There's someone else I highly respect that I saw say that earlier. They were saying that what's going on now is basically a sign of, you know, these powers that shouldn't be. Their whole sort of plan isn't going
right
as good as they want it, and so they seem
powers
to
that were. Someone called them the other day. I like
wow,
that one. The powers that were.
Wow. And it's almost like they're rushing into this. So now you've got the whole 15-minute city thing, and they're like trying to throw in a whole new way of living and cram it into like 2-3 years or whatever. Like, yeah, we're going to switch up. But it just doesn't seem like it's that possible, you know, like a lot of other things they've tried.
Yeah, I heard, I don't know if this is true, but I heard that COVID was rushed because all the Epstein stuff was coming out. They wanted to rush through the COVID plan to distract from that. And so even that, they were already on the back foot with that. And that's why they didn't implement everything they wanted to implement with that plan. And now they're just rushing through the next one.
What? So because like you're saying, because of the Epstein thing, they're saying that they rushed in this whole worldwide sort of.
That's what I heard, yeah, because they wanted to distract people from that because it was all at the same time, right?
Yeah, I feel like it was like a bunch of stuff then, that if it was made to distract people from, because it's the whole world was sort of affected in some form or way, you know, like whether it was, I know a lot of Asian countries like Singapore, where is it, Cambodia and those sort of places didn't really get, because they're more known for tourism, you know, they more or less had to shut down for those two. So it's quite serious compared to what happened, you know, even in Europe and whatnot. So I feel like it's probably a chance for them to get away with a lot of different operations around the world then, you know, this hive that they've got. It's like, all right, over here, we're going to do this. And anyone who didn't comply, like we started hearing about certain presidents disappearing and, or even like company, like high execs and directors just like saying, yeah, they're standing down now around the same time. So it feels like maybe there was a massive, it was even bigger than just the Epstein thing. Like, because a lot of people even say that was put out there to distract from something.
Well, I think they know. I mean, you're probably aware of the astrology, and it's been predicted by so many traditional cultures. We're at the end of a cycle, we're beginning a new one. So I think they know the game's up. They're just trying to drag it out as long as they can. But it's, we're entering the age of Aquarius.
Yeah.
So that's what it is, whether they like it or not.
Well, you Aquarius?
No, but that's what it is.
Yeah,
it's the age of Aquarius.
Yeah. That's what everyone, it seems to be. So we're not there yet. We're on our way there, right? We just want to confirm because
I think we're between. I see it's like Act 1 and Act 2. We're between the acts. This is the interval. The curtain's down. We're just getting our ice creams, finding our seats, and then Act 2 will start.
So, all right, where do you think people should be at then for this next act? Like, ideally, within themselves, where do you feel people should stand? Because
it's having that inner resilience, isn't it? It's really knowing yourself and, like you're saying, being connected to who you really are. And then, because when you're doing that, actually, we're all powerful beings. We're powerful creators, and we're working with the forces that create worlds. It's not, when we talk about all the metaphysical stuff, all is one, and it's not. I love to say it's not literal. It's not metaphorical. It's literal. It's real. All is one on the quantum level. All is one, and every one of your cells houses the power that created the universe. Right? You are an all-powerful being. So when we connect into the truth of who we are, that's what I'm saying. Bone Babylon. It's just like they're just like they're like little irritating mosquitoes. Once you really know who you are, which is an infinite journey anyway, because you can't ever know who you really are because you're everything. You just all that stuff just gets less and less relevant, and it matters less and less. And I think there will be chaos. I actually think it's going to get more chaotic from their end. And I think this is just the beginning of everything collapsing. But like I say, I think it will actually be really exciting and really joyous. And
popcorn.
And really, like awakening and enlivening. We'll get our lives back, basically. They've been robbing us of our lives.
For a very, very, very long time.
Right.
So long that people can't even really fathom it.
Right.
That's how crazy it is.
26,000 years.
Wow. And so, okay, so I saw something where you mentioned about sovereignty, right? Was that to do with what I thought it was to do with? So, the sort of, not, what do you call it? Like, not the free man on the land.
Common law.
Yeah, but common law and standing in your own name and not the birth certificate name and all that. Was it to do with that?
I don't know a lot about common law. I was going to do a course last year. They do these one-day courses. I can't remember who it's called. They do them like, I can't remember what they're called, but I signed up and it was full.
Lawful rebellion or something like that?
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. I mean, I've learned a bit the last few years, but to me, sovereignty is just taking responsibility. Because like I'm saying, once you understand that you're a powerful creator, then you understand that you've created everything. You've created what you don't want in your life, and you've created what you do want, and you've created it all, the good and the bad, so that you can grow into the kind of person that you came to be. So I really learned early on in my life that the things that I liked the least, they turned out to be the best lessons, right? The things when I was like, I can't do it. It's not fair. I don't like it. When I looked back, I was like, I'm so glad it went like that, because it pushed me to do this. It pushed me to grow in this way. And if I hadn't been pushed in that way, I wouldn't have grown to be this person. So we just learn that we're choosing all our experiences on a higher level. We're choosing all our experiences, and it's just a whole different way of looking at life, isn't it? It's a whole different way of navigating through life. It's like you take responsibility for everything, the good and the bad, and you understand that you're just relating to things in a different way that gives you back your power. So you're not giving anything or anyone else your power in any situation, and then things turn out differently for you. Then situations just seem to work in your favor just a little bit more. Or even when they're not going how you want them to go, you can see why they needed to go that way, and you're accepting of it instead of kicking and screaming against it. And the ego always wants to kick and scream. The ego always wants to go, no, because that's its job. It's the ego's job is limitation. That's its function, is to keep you in your little body. Because if you understood the whole nature of the universe all at once, you go crazy. So the ego's job is to protect you, and the ego's job is to limit you. So the ego always goes, no, I don't want to do this. No, I can't do this. But you bring in your higher self aspect, and your higher self aspect goes, maybe there's something to teach me. Maybe I can see why this needed to happen. And then you just progress quicker and smoother.
Yeah, and it's on reflection, right? That's the key, I guess. It's like being able to reflect upon yourself and then understand, like you said, the higher self is then now there looking down and going, oh, it could be because of this, because the way you went on over there was a bit, and then he goes, I get exactly what you're saying. It's a process. I think a lot of us have to work on in our own way. Of course, you can't be forced. But
but that's what I'm saying. It's a full-time job. When you're awake, you don't need to wake anyone else up, because waking yourself up every day, the matrix is designed to keep us asleep. So when you really realize that you're in the matrix, you really realize that your biggest job every day is, how do you wake up every day? How do you remember who you are every day? Because everything around you is going to try and shut you down and make you fall back asleep and stop you from remembering that you're an all-powerful being.
Yeah, and oh my days, that's buzz. Because when you think about it like this: what's the best way to make you forget? Put you in fear.
Right.
As long as I got you scared of something, like scared of the germs in the toilet, domestos. Let me put this in your face. Kills. What did they used to say? Domestos kills 99% germs. Dead. You don't realize they're talking about you when they say that. But yeah, that makes you feel safe. But you're scared about germs everywhere now, thinking, oh, germs. Like not realizing when you was a kid, there were germs everywhere. You might have accidentally ate your own doo-doo. You might have done that. I ain't putting no names out there. I know a few people. But something like that might have happened, and you survived it. You don't remember that at all, But now, the fact that there is fear governing you, you can't tell heads from tails. You don't know what's a lie. You don't know what's the truth. But once you do your best, do your due diligence to really try and understand and open your mind as well, because that's a big part of it. And then you get to that point of the paradigm shift. Then you realize, like, oh my days, I've been worrying all my life about some BS. Like, I had no idea they would lie to me in this way. And
it's survival instincts, isn't it? They're trying to keep us in the root chakra and stop the energy rising into the crown. Crown is sovereign, right? So they try and keep us in the root. Survival, taxation. We just paid our insurance on our business, and you paid 12% tax on insurance. Tax would be for luxury items, right? How is insurance, which you have to have as a business, a luxury item, and you have to pay 12% tax on? I don't know. But there's just endless taxes, right? All this fuel crisis nonsense. Like, it's just, they keep us in survival mode all the time. How are we going to keep a roof over our head? How are we going to feed our kids? How are we going to pay the bills? And then you haven't got time to. That's what you're saying, right? That's why 2020 was an own goal. Yeah. Because everyone suddenly had time to remember who they were.
Oh, man. Jeez. I couldn't believe, like, the way that the whole thing played out. I couldn't believe it, man. It was just like, oh, What? Like this long? So since birth, since birth, this is what I learned. I was like, what? I couldn't believe when I found out, that the whole cutting the cord thing. So from birth, they're like, here, and they're saying it to, if the baby daddy's there, saying it to him, hey, would you like to cut the cord? Like making it like a privilege, like, yeah, this is really something good that you're about to do. This is and then bam, you start to learn that actually you want to leave that cord there as long as as long as you want. You know what I mean? But just make sure that it's either white or not pumping, and then you cut it.
Right.
Why? Because there's still a third of that baby's blood in there. So now that's why your baby's screaming. That's why your baby's not looking the right color. All these different ailments that might happen off the fact that that baby's fighting for his life now. You don't even realize.
Right, and it's hormones, isn't it? It's oxytocin is the bonding hormone, and instead of the baby getting the bonding hormone, it's getting fear hormones.
And why would they do that? Like, of all the things, So from birth, we've been taught that this is the way the world works. Don't look over here. That's a conspiracy. That's they're racist, or they're don't listen to any of that. Just look this way. And by the way, be scared when you when you cross the road, you might fall into the toilet, or don't worry, we've got domestics for you. But yeah, all of that, you realize, like, wow,
even words can hurt you.
Yeah.
Everything can hurt you, even words.
What? Like, I remember being in school and they were talking about you could get AIDS from the toilet seat. People are like, yeah, you could get AIDS from the toilet. Like, what? Rubbish. Like a whole load of rubbish, boy. But as long as you're scared, then you're not thinking the way you're supposed to, But it's amazing how they do it.
I've been planning it a long time.
It seems so. So from your understanding, where do you think this whole, this sort of, what do we want to call it? This negative, this evil entity that seems to have its control over us. Where do you think it's come from, or what's your understanding of where, where it was birthed, or how it came about?
That's a really juicy question. Well, I call them archons.
Ooh. Okay.
Have you heard that?
Archons. Yeah. We heard. All right, let's go.
I feel like they're it's like angels, but on the dark side. So they're not human. It's like, I don't properly understand, but it's like energies on a higher dimensional level, and they've been feeding off us for 26,000 years. And we're like a food source. So this is why it's so important to raise your vibration. When you raise your vibration with conscious living, with conscious thinking, with conscious food, with conscious breathing, with conscious sleeping, with grounding, connecting to Mother Earth, all these things that are really simple. When you raise your frequency, you're not good food anymore. Well, actually, you are good food. You're always good food. Yeah. But when you raise your frequency and protect your frequency, then they have to leave the planet. So it's terrain theory, terrain theory, right?
Yeah, we were talking about that.
It's the same. It's the same. So are you a good host? Are you a good host for the parasites, or are you connecting to your divine guides, your higher aspect of yourself? Because you're always connected to something up there or out there. So what is it that you're connected to? And the more you just take care of minding your own business and making sure that your frequency is good, if we all do that, we're not good hosts. And then they just have to leave the planet because they're like parasites.
So, and all right, so these archons, someone said evidence, like what type of evidence do you feel like you've, because, and I will say that I asked her, what do you believe? Because none of us know. None of us know 100% until we've experienced it, or seen it. Like we spoke about that. Like none of us actually know, but we can have a belief, and there'll be things that pop up that make me believe that. Like, you know what? Because of that. And so I was wondering, what is it that has made you go that route in terms of, because I've definitely looked into all of that as well. and seeing that, it kind of makes sense. There are these higher beings that fell, you know, that have been written about in a different type of way, but it sounds similar, and it could make sense because, yeah, the only thing I'm not sure about it is then why would they try and get rid of so many people? Wouldn't that mean there's less energy to harvest on? But yeah,
because it's the new cycle, and they know it's the new cycle. So the next stage of the cycle is transhumanism, where we're just all robot beings. We're not even humans anymore because they just want a bunch of slaves. So we've been in a slave planet for 26,000 years, and then it's the next stage of slavery. So they want us totally dehumanized, and they want everyone who's not. They want artificial intelligence, and so that they can just totally feed off the energy of the planet. It's not going to happen.
It definitely won't happen around these ways. I'll tell you that. Right now, get off my porch, man. Get off my mustard greens, my collard greens. Yeah. Because one thing I've been really like trying to tap into of late, the last few months for sure, is like the creation side, like how we've even got here, how we've become.
Right.
You know, there's a lot of history that has obviously been obfuscated, you know, they've hidden, they've twisted, they've, you know, had us believe a certain, you know, whether it be dinosaurs or whatever, slavery even, it's all been twisted in some certain way. And, you know, like, I think it's tricky for us because we don't know who we are or where we've come from for sure. But I feel like there's a lot of people like yourself that seem a lot more grounded within that, and like if you give people advice on how they could tap into and kind of understand that there is a you before this present you, like in what way would you advise them? Because I think it's tricky for a lot of people to even get their head around that being possible, you know?
Yeah, it is. It's deep, and you know, like you're saying, you have to go down a lot of rabbit holes. But the thing is, the more rabbit holes you go down, they all start connecting up. And for me, true. Like, I think, you know, on one hand, you can just say, well, it's all stories, and you can choose what you want to believe because we're making it all up. And that's the point, is that we're powerful creators. We're making everything up. Right? We make everything up. And so we're under a spell, and we've chosen to create this reality for them that serves them. It doesn't serve us. So when we wake up, we start saying, well, what reality do I want to create? What reality do I want to choose? And then you realize that you can choose because so it sounds really silly, but on Sunday morning, I decided that I wanted a little tray thing to put all my supplements on because I was tidying up my kitchen and I have my little supplements, and I thought they look a bit messy like that. I'd like to get a little tray, and I like shopping on Etsy because then you're paying direct to the person that made it, and I always find nice things on Etsy. So I was looking on Etsy, and I was going to check with my son first because he's very conscious of like his environment. He likes pretty things, so I was like going to see which one he likes. And then I went to the farmer's market, and I came back from the farmer's market, and the bins, the communal bins, are directly outside my house, and we often find treasure in those bins. And I found a little tray that was the perfect size for my supplements, and also it has sticky backing on it, so I can actually put it against the wall, and it creates more space on the counter. And it was brand new; it was still in the wrapper.
Wow!
So it's only tiny, and it's really silly, but to me, that is a direct example of how I'm a powerful creator, and I just had to think about something. And I made it appear within 2 hours. It appeared brand new, literally on my doorstep in the wrapping.
That's
even
crazy,
better than what I was imagining.
Yeah, wow, man.
Maybe it only happened so I could tell you the story now.
Yeah, it's true though. It's true though, because it might inspire other people.
Right, and I've got so many. Like I could do a whole hour on all these stories of how something has just like fallen into place in a way that is beyond my comprehension, that is like crazy synchronicity. So the beginning of your question was, how do I feel like I know things? For me, it's like having an intuition, or, you know, I get a lot of downloads. I just, you know, I get my daily messages. I'm in communication with my guides a lot, right? So I get this internal information, and then something external will validate it. And I think that's something really interesting that we're really noticing now, coming out of that 2020 period, is that those of us that decided to pull back the veil, as you were saying, and look what was on the other side, we're all coming to the same conclusions, and we're all coming to the same realizations, and we're all coming to the same understandings. And that is natural law. You know, I'm really fascinated by sacred geometry at the moment. I'm really fascinated by, you know, like you were saying, this whole Tataria concept of this lost civilization. Like I've been doing a lot of grid work around London and realizing how they use the power lines around London. And all this stuff is something that people barely talked about 3 or 4 years ago. And now I'm thinking about it, and then I just have to open Instagram and there's a new person writing about it, or a new video about it that's like filling in the gaps of information. So we're all coming to the same realizations independently, because that's how it works. We are all, it's microcosm, macrocosm, all is one, right? So I think that's the thing about the simulation is crumbling, because less and less people are believing in it. Who like that last prime minister, nobody even knew her name. Like this when we got now, people barely remember his name. We're like, who even is he? Like nobody knows. It's like no one's putting energy into that anymore. Less and less people. What are we putting energy into? We're putting energy into creating the lives that we want to have, right? That we want to build. So I think there was a lot of pieces to your question there, but I think that's essentially it. Is you figure out, who are you? What do you want? And it's a present moment awareness thing. It's like right now. Well, you know, if we'd have been talking about hydration, probably a lot of people would have been, I'm going to go and get a glass of water. But maybe after this, they'll be thinking, oh, maybe I'm going to get some cornflake algae, or maybe I just need to go to sleep. But then you just keep following your intuition. What do you want to do now? I want to research this. I want to go for a walk. I want to do some breath work. And then the pieces just come. It's being in the present moment and being open to it. And then you're guided and you're protected. And it all just flows in a really beautiful and unexplainable by your logical mind way. Yeah.
So it's that thing of, like you're saying, listening to yourself, listening to the inner self, to that inner voice. And I guess that's...
It always knows.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. And there'll be times when you're like, oh, that's why I thought that before that happened, because it was almost, like you're saying, the guides. So do you mean your spirit guides? When you say your guides, or...
Yeah.
So these are like, from what I understand, spirit guides are like, they can be animals sometimes, or they can be people, but they kind of, they guide your intuition sort of thing. And it's like almost like that attachment, like we're saying, to the higher, the collective consciousness. You just feel like things are right the way that you're doing them, in that you can make decisions and they feel a lot easier and a lot like they're supposed to happen this way, as opposed to when you're not in that calm mind frame and you're, should I don't know, that can happen when I smoke a zoot. Sometimes I'm like, but what should I, whereas when I'm just sober and I'm like, now I've just got navigate this way. So I can see that. It's for sure. I think it's definitely important as well.
I always start, when I do my classes and stuff, I always start with quantum physics. So I think with our left brain minds, that really helps us to come at it from quantum physics. Quantum physics is very left brain, and then it ends up being totally right brain. But quantum physics has proven that matter, the material world, is less than 1% of all that is. So this is partly why it gets confusing, and partly why it's hard to explain, because 99% of us is non-physical. So the non-physical world, if you think of how diverse the physical world is, the material world, the non-physical world is infinitely more diverse. So when you start talking about stuff like spirit guides, it's hard to quantify because, if it's like asking you about your physical friends, they're really varied, right? They're really diverse, and you have different friends for different things, different activities, or different times of your life. And I think in the non-physical realm, it's even more diverse and even more, different options and permutations available.
Yeah. Are you into astrology as well, or
not like I'm not expert, but I kind of look at it, but I don't know a lot.
Because I saw there was I think you got something on, is it for the summer solstice or something like that? So I was wondering, I thought, oh, maybe you're, because quite a few people we speak to we've had heavy conversations about it, and I think Dan, he wasn't sure, but now I think we got him in.
Well, I heard him say, just when I came on, he said it's not New Year yet, so I guess he was referring to equinox.
See? Yeah, right? See it there? See? you don't even realise you're in. You're fully in. I was campaigning while these lot all celebrating Happy New Year. I was like, really, bruv? You're gonna celebrate? Everything out there is dying. What are you happy about? Ain't no fruits on the trees.
I've been bullied into it.
No plumage, nothing.
It's true though. Yeah. It makes sense.
How can that be New Year? Happy New Year? Nah, man. New Year's when everything's springing into action.
Are you happy yet? No, you're not. So it's too cold to be happy. Not Happy New Year yet. You can't say Happy New Year in December.
Yeah, man. Come on, man.
Cold New Year.
Yeah. So that's so. I thought I was wondering whether you were or not. But yeah. Because there's so many different aspects to that whole, even with food as well. We found out like there's, what would you call it? There's medical astrology, but then there's astrology that equates to the foods you eat.
Right.
And so I was, because you seem like somewhat of a syncretist, with certain things seem connected and you understand that. And so I was wondering about that, whether then are these, the frequencies attached to these foods in that way as well. And that's probably, it must be, man. They must be, because look at the colors of these, like the acai, and even like the things like ashwagandha, like you were saying, they're strong colors.
Yeah.
So it must mean something as to what type of frequency the foods are.
Yeah.
What are some of your favorite then, anyway, that you that you want sort of your daily or every other day? Yeah, your superfoods.
I do take a lot to live in London. I think you have to. People often meet me when I'm not in London, like in other parts of the world. They're like, I don't know how you live in London. I'm like, I take lots of superfood.
Yeah.
No, I do love London. I really love London. Wow, where to start? I take MSM every morning. That's really good for your joints.
Yep, I take that as well.
I do lots of yoga, so I really need the MSM.
The MSM, we talk about the MSM face. It's like after you when you haven't had it for a while, and then you start taking it for a couple of days, then you look at yourself, you're like, wow, it's like a whole new you or something. We call it MSM face. But yeah, really good. I've had a bit of an accident a little while ago, and it's helping with the growth, like my nail growing back, and skin. I find it's really good for regeneration, and the hair grows like crazy as well.
Right.
But it tastes like no.
Well, you get used to it. I take 2 teaspoons in a glass of water.
Yeah, same. Okay. What else then? What else? MSM.
I take a green powder every day, or at least one. So I have a glass of coconut water usually in the morning, and I'll put spirulina in, or chlorella, or some green powder blend. So again, I think that's really important for vegans to get the green powders, because you get that complex nutrition and that dense protein. So chlorella is probably my favorite.
Oh, right.
And that's really good for rebuilding cells as well. So I have a couple of teaspoons of chlorella.
Yeah. So it's important to get the greens in there.
Really, I think if you're vegan, I think it's essential. Yeah.
Especially if you're vegan.
Yeah, because the obviously there's disadvantages to animal products, but some of the advantages are that you get that dense protein and complex nutrition, which I think is hard to get just eating fruits and vegetables.
Even if they're organic vegetables, yeah. So do you believe much in the sort of fact that organic are better than regular? You do, okay. And what other superfoods?
I eat chocolate most days. I'm doing my liver cleanse at the moment, so I'm not having chocolate, but mostly I have chocolate every day.
Like cacao.
Yeah, and I usually make my own, and I'll put in. My favorite at the moment is I always put maca.
Maca
and I put in Ethereum Gold and Macuna. Those are two of my favorites. Do you know those?
Ethereum Gold. Is that the like the colloidal gold?
It's like Ormus.
Ormus. All right, I'm lost now. You're
gonna love Ormus.
You gotta explain that. Ormus.
It's kind of hard to explain. They think the ancient Egyptians used it. It's like alchemical gold.
Yeah. So is that okay? Right.
Yeah. It's like smaller than colloidal though. It's a my mind's gone blank now. It's a
what they call something. It? The measurement you're talking. Is it the archon? Not the archon.
It's
what's it called?
It's smaller than trace minerals, whatever comes out of trace minerals. Yeah.
Remember, there's a guy that was selling it in America, but it was too much hassle to try and get it here.
Monoatomic.
No, not monoatomic. There's another word for it. I've forgotten, man. But yeah,
it's really good. Ethereum Gold's really good for creativity. It's really good for focus and concentration. It's really good for connection. They've got lots of research around Ethereum Gold, and they found that it stimulates the alpha brainwaves, which are the ones that you create when you're meditating. So it just kind of puts you into an instant meditative state, and it's really good for manifestation. So it's a conductor, so you can just manifest.
That's what I was going to say. Quicker. Yeah, so the gold and silver. So it seems like the metals are conductors, so they help quite a lot, and obviously gold is up there. In terms of a metal, wow! All right, I got to step my game up, boy. I was just, that was so funny. But yeah, it's amazing the amount of products on the website. Like serious, man, you'll get lost in there. It's like a labyrinth of stuff. And I've seen you got Shilajit come in.
Yeah,
that's a very, very interesting. What should we call it? Substance right there. Definitely helps with a lot of things. I noticed that. I felt more awake. Back felt stronger. Also, I think, it helps with sleep as well. I noticed that I was sleeping a lot better.
Right.
With the Shilajit. And so that's a whole bunch of trace minerals as well, right? Is it fulvic?
Yeah, it's really grounding, Shilajit. It's really earthing. It's basically mud. It's basically Himalayan mud.
Himalayan mud.
But it's really rich in fulvic acid. So, again, it helps with calcification of the pineal glands and removing heavy metals from the body. In Ayurveda, it's called destroyer of all weakness. It's really good for cleaning the blood. So any kind of viruses, any particular viruses that might be hanging around, it's good for those as well.
The viruses, the ones that know what time it is and they know whether what race you are. Wait, are you? No. Okay, no, I won't jump into you. They had us so fooled, man. It's ridiculous. But yeah. So basically saying like these things are there and they help aid the body because it's the body that is actually doing the healing. Right. All these things are just helping the body do what it does. Like the amount of people that think like a plaster is the reason why the plaster's healing their cut. It's you healing the cut. The plaster's just there to keep dirt out for wherever you are at that time, protect it. But really, the healing really starts when you take the plaster off and oxygen hits and now the body's like, all right, now let's get to work. Let's rebuild. So you mentioned something about the Ayurvedic system and I believe, there's another system, the shamanic system, they talk about the symptom being the cure. Is that it? Right? And so that connects with the whole terrain theory thing, being that you're not actually sick. You're actually getting better. This is what's happening, you know? Like
the body's always sending you messages. So if you don't listen to the messages, it's got to shout them a bit louder. And if you try and suppress them with the pharmaceutical, it's got to really scream at you till you notice. So the pharmaceutical approach is the sticking plaster approach, like you just said. We'll just cover up the symptom and hope that it goes away. But of course it doesn't. The body just has to find either that symptom will get worse once you stop taking the medication, or another symptom will appear because the body has to get your attention. So it's all the same thing, right? The more you pay attention to yourself, the less symptoms you need to have, because you're paying attention already. And when you do get a symptom, you're paying attention really well. So you're just like straight away, it's like, oh, I'll get on the camu or I'll get on the shilajit, and then the symptoms never get that bad.
Like, you know, that first inkling of a sore throat, you're like, all right, let me just get some Manuka, coat that off, you know, leave that there for the night. And the next day you're like, oh. But if you'd have just left it, if you leave it now and, you know, just carry on, whatever, next minute, oh, no, man, I felt like I had a little sore throat the other night. But, you know, they just carry on. And you realize, like, wow, we're a lot more powerful than we're led to believe. You know, your body's that capable of healing. So imagine what you're capable of doing if you work in tune with it. In tune with your body.
And everything is frequency. So the more you raise your frequency, the more the lower frequency things just can't reach you. You're out of their reach.
Yeah, makes sense. It makes sense, man. And I think that, there's definitely something to that with the foods as well. How do you deal with, so, you know, there'll be, what I noticed is a product will come out, or, you know, is the talk of the town, and then all of a sudden there'll be loads of, so I've even seen stuff about shilajit, where they're going, oh, shilajit, if you have too much, or if you, you know, there will always be some kind of, how do you deal with those sort of, you know, that sort of side of the business? I'm thinking, do you have to then go into your realm of research and find out the real truth, or do you just like whatever, you just ignore it all? Because I always wonder if that's a problem.
Well, when we first had the website, my rule was we didn't sell anything that I didn't eat myself. So I'd taken everything myself and I knew it worked. As we grew, I couldn't keep to that rule, but pretty much everything on the website, like pretty much all of it is stuff I use myself. And if I feel like it's not working, then I wouldn't sell it. And that's part of, you know, why we're still in business 20 years later, is because people trust us to only offer what's really good. So if I don't think it's really good, we wouldn't sell it. And then, you know, I used to say, when I was doing the talks all the time, I used to say, if you listen to everyone, you'd end up eating nothing, because there's people that say seaweeds are bad for you. There's people that say superfoods are bad for you. There's people that say fruit is bad for you. There's people that say everything is bad for you. So you'd end up eating nothing, but then you'd be breatharian. And then there's all people that say being breatharian is bad for you. Yeah. So you can't win to those people. Like there's always going to be the naysayers. So it really does have to come to listening to what works for you. And also, you know, no two people are the same. So you really have to pay attention. It's, you know, I like to use the analogy of music. If I've got a group of people and I say, you know, if we all named our favourite albums right now, we'd all come up with different artists and different musicians. It's not that anyone's right or wrong, it's that we all like different things. So it's the same. Maybe shilajit isn't right for everyone, but it's right for a lot of people. So that's what I said at the beginning, just listen to the people that you resonate with, because what resonates with them is more likely to resonate with you. If someone's living in the same country as you, if they've got a similar lifestyle to you, if they've got a similar background to you, chances are it's going to work. If they're on the other side of the world and their lifestyle's completely different, there's a good chance it's not going to work for you. But find out. If you feel drawn to it, find out.
There'll be a battle with the aircon, boy. Someone wants it off, someone wants it on. Yeah. Oh, man, that's crazy, boy. Yeah. So what else was I going to ask you? There's something else as well, man. I'm geeking out here because obviously, I've seen how much the growth of the website as well. Like how much more stuff there is to try. But it was to do with, what was it? We've spoken about the climate flake. Oh, the acai. That was it, acai. So like, I'd heard about acai through my friend who he always used to go to Brazilian restaurants. Like he used to go to a Brazilian restaurant and he talked about after, but I think he was calling it acai. And then, after looking into it, it was like, okay, so there's this berry and it's from South America, like the southern part of America, right? But it's meant to be really potent as well. And, at first I wasn't really sure about it, but then I tried like I had quite a lot, like maybe, 2.5 heaped teaspoons just to see. Had it just with water. And then after about 10 minutes, there was quite a high. I started to feel quite an energetic kind of high, I learned later on that this was like a vibrational feeling. There was something, but, for me, it's like, man, I have that, I go do a show. People are just like, yo, what is going on? They're like, because I'm on fire. Like, I'm jumping around, like, yeah, the energy's there. You're thinking so clearly and whatnot. Are there people who ever say like to you, oh, I don't really get anything from this. Like, I don't know what the hype is about. Or I can guess majority of people must feel the same thing.
From acai?
Yeah, from acai. Like there's there's something more to it than just, just food, just being food.
Yeah, I think it's the high antioxidant content. So
is that what it is?
Yeah.
Let's be getting excited. All it is.
Well, no, it is. So the things that are highest in antioxidants, acai is really high. But then the top things are chaga, matcha, and cacao. Chaga. So if you think about having all those things, that's what I always say if people want to try and give up coffee, chaga and matcha together, or chaga, matcha, cacao together is the best way to stop doing coffee, because you get such an energetic boost from those things. And especially if you put chaga and matcha together, you get a really big energy boost without any of the caffeine. So
yeah, because I was going to say cacao's got caffeine in it, right?
That's disputable. I would say it doesn't. It has theobromine in, which is a similar stimulant, but it's not the same. My understanding is that caffeine has to be heated in order to be activated. If you get green coffee beans, they're not stimulating. So when you have the raw cacao, I don't believe that there's caffeine present, but theobromine is a stimulant. So some people find cacao stimulating, but personally I can't do decaf coffee, I can't do green tea, and I can eat chocolate. So I feel like if there was caffeine in it, I wouldn't be able to eat it.
What? You said you can't do decaf coffee, but you can do green tea.
Someone gave me a decaf by accident. This is maybe like 10 years ago now, and I had heart palpitations and didn't sleep all night. That's from 1 cup of decaf coffee.
Yeah. That's like the reverse of what's meant to happen. Like the whole point of decaf in it is like, yo, you go in bed soon? Yeah.
Have a decaf. It's I think the chemicals they use as well to extract the caffeine is quite. They have quite bad chemicals in there. Yeah, just to extract the caffeine. Yeah.
It's like sweetener.
It's not easy to do, as you can imagine. Extracting caffeine from coffee is like denaturing the coffee, essentially.
Right.
Yeah, it's kind of weird, isn't it? Here, we'll do this. It's good for you now, and then But that happens a lot, man. It happens a lot. I think, but we're lucky that there are people like yourself out there willing to, step outside of the box. I'm sure people must have looked at you strange at first when you got on this journey.
I mean, they still look at me strange now, to be honest. But I just couldn't. That's why I say I think I was like a guinea pig. I couldn't not do it. I couldn't not eat this way. So to me, it's not anything really. It's like I don't understand how people can eat normal food, and I don't understand.
Yeah, because you're so far removed from it, so it's no wonder.
Well, like how do you not, like, how do you function if you're eating McDonald's? I think it's a real testament to strength of the human spirit and the resilience of the human body that you can put in that level of toxicity and people can still function. But personally, I couldn't do it.
Yeah, true, man. True. I can't deal with.
I wouldn't have a grin this big if I was eating McDonald's every day. I'll tell you that for the thing.
Yeah. People eat McDonald's just angry with themselves, boy. Just pissed off with life. Like, yo, I don't even know why. What am I doing here, man? Stannis Baratheon. Yeah, them levels. That's crazy, man. Kate, man, it's been really fun talking to you. I really appreciate your time as well. Is there? So one more thing I wanted to touch on was the the Matrix thing, the idea of seeing where we are and how we've got to navigate through it. If you could leave some, sort of encouraging words for people, because we what we don't want to do here is have people worried, because even though no matter what we say, they might still feel worried, but. That's why we started this thing. It's like, yo, people need to know that this ain't what you think it is. Like, like you were saying earlier, it's not going to work the way they want it to work. But yeah, if you could leave some encouraging words for the people.
I want to
put you on the spot.
I want to say, actually, I think it's going to get worse. But that's why we have to be prepared.
say you, man. Do you, God. So we got to be prepared. That's it. All right.
Because if prepared, it's not a problem. Do you know? Okay, I'm totally. I could be totally making this up, but I think the next thing, one of the things that got planned, right, is the financial crash.
Yeah.
And I think they want to wipe out money, but I've never had any money in my whole life, and neither have any of my friends. So we'll be like, oh, there's no money. Our lives aren't really that different. It's all the people that made money their gods that are going to be really stressed and traumatized, right? Because they won't know what to do with themselves. Oof. And people like us would just be like, do you know what? I don't have any money anyway.
No difference.
And so the more we are involved in building alternate systems, new systems, the less the crash is going to impact us. And the more we're putting our energy into, like I was saying, just right living. Like, you take care of your body, your mind, your soul. You take care of your little patch of earth. You take care of your loved ones. And, that's all self-affirming. Because when shit does hit the fan, you know who you are. You know that you've got your people around you. You know where you are in the world. You know how to grow your own food. You know how to feed yourself. You know where to get clean water. Or if you don't, you've got friends that are going to help you do that. And that's all we really need. It's all, like you're saying, that's what we realised in 2020 is we don't actually need the Matrix to be happy. And people like us, the more the Matrix crumbles, the happier we get.
Yeah, for sure, man. And I'm glad a lot of people are slowly realising that as well, that it's not, not this thing of anarchy, like the want of some kind of governing body. It's like, no, just freedom from all of that. Like, don't be sending me your tax bills for this, that, and the third that I ain't even got nothing to do with. I don't deal with all of that. Like, don't involve me, And like you said, having our own sovereignty where we're able to grow the foods that we want, or source the foods that we want. Like, we're led to believe like that's all it's going to be is like, yo, you better have some plant pots outside on the balcony, grow your little veg there. But no, we can still communicate with other people outside of this system, that this bogus system that they've got a lot of us locked in. So yeah, it makes a lot of sense.
Every time they say there's food shortages, I go to the farmer's market and there's no food shortages at the farmer's market.
Yeah, it's that simple, But as long as they can create that image, put it on that screen, take that picture, and bam, you believe it's real. That's it. You're locked in.
I also think it's understanding the levels of suppression, because I really believe that there's millions of people all over the world that have all the answers to all our problems, and there's people that know how to create permaculture gardens, and people that know how to do sustainable architecture, and people that know how to create alternate systems of education, alternate systems of healing, and like everything that we need. There's people like ourselves that are just ready to offer that information. It's just being withheld from the mainstream. So it's not like we don't have all the answers, but they've just been withheld from us for so long. So the more their system crumbles, the more I think the people with the answers will just come forward and go, I know how to do it.
Yeah,
We'll be like, yeah, that's a great idea.
Yeah,
let's build houses built on sacred geometry, not boxes, not cages.
For real, boy. It's true, man. So different. And the ley lines as well, like you touched on that earlier, the whole thing about ley lines. We were speaking about that before. And I think there's something to that as well, for sure. Like apparently a lot of churches were built on ley lines.
Right.
And quite a few old buildings.
Yeah, so there was a time when obviously... I think the internet's part of the problem.
It's weird because it's part of the solution as well, though.
Yeah,
like the amount of info.
Before the internet, people were more connected to each other in a real way, in a realistic way.
Yeah,
Whereas with the internet, I think people were like, oh, I've clicked like, I think I've done all I can do to save the world.
Oh, sure.
I liked that person's video on YouTube. That's it, done.
Yeah.
You know, and then they wait for the next thing to come along, and they're like, yeah, click that. So I think if it all went down, we'd probably find more realistic ways of connecting with each other.
That's true.
The CIA created Facebook and iPhones, didn't they?
Yeah. So obviously, and all I see is people just staring at their phones all the time.
Oh man, now it's like.
Or when we went to like Flavour of the Month, and there was just phones. You couldn't watch the show because there was so many. You might as well look through people's phones to watch the show. There's so many people holding their phones up, you know, enjoying themselves through their phone.
Yeah, it's weird.
Rather
watching
than just
the
enjoying
show.
themselves there.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think gather all of your stuff together now, your information that you need off the internet, but people shouldn't be expecting it to be something that's there forever. And you know, obviously it's been bad for them as well, because a lot of people have found out information about the system through the internet, and so they've been constantly trying to shut the internet down ever since it came about, because it was obviously like a open source place for information, and that's not really what they want. They want controlled sources of information, so they've been constantly trying to clamp down on the internet since the inception of the internet.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of people do more of so if you go to a blog, you know, like a investigative blog that kind of sources all this different material, rather than just like send you, like, you know, hyperlink it, now they'll give you like a PDF of it so you can download that whole thing, and they'll say like in case it gets scraped off the net or whatnot. So I guess there is that we got to look out for as well. Like, we might not see you guys for a little while, man. We won't be live streaming for a minute, bro.
Go back.
I think we've got a couple of years.
Smoke signals.
25 maybe.
Yeah, you know what I mean, get back to the carrier pigeons. You know what I mean?
Go back to how we used to do it before, when you used to take a picture to your friends and you would ask them to say they liked it or didn't like it. In the old days.
Well, I was in the rave scene. Were either of you in the rave scene?
Nah,
not during the time that you're probably talking about.
The jungle rave.
That was my formative years, and we were having a revolution. We were all squatting, and we were all having parties all the time, and we were all like, I didn't claim any dole money. I was completely self-sufficient.
Oh, for real?
Yeah. So I lived through that period. We were like, you know, I was kind of involved with the traveller scene, and they shut all that down. If people listening haven't seen like the Battle of the Beanfield, do you know all that? Yeah. When they shut the traveller scene down, there's some really good documentaries suggested on YouTube about how they destroyed the traveller scene. But there was like thousands of people just living for free in the UK at that point. Just everywhere. Yeah. It was happening all over the place. You're on a. Are you sort of on about that Spiral Tribe? Yeah, I was part of Spiral Tribe. Right,
Wow.
Yeah, I remember all that. I remember all that sort of stuff. I was adjacent to it at the time. With people I knew that were squatting in things like Bushy Park, the former military grounds in Bushy Park. Right. There was people squatting there. And then Crystal Palace, I think there was another one I remember going to over there somewhere. That was a big squat. And San Francisco, there was people doing it. And then I went to France. I think there was some people doing it in France. It's all over the place. Yeah. So
that was like the exercising of rights to be able to squat in.
Freedom to party.
Freedom to party.
Basically, big just rave scenes. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, that's the way, though, isn't it? That's the way.
That was when I really got politicised, because I realised, there's an agenda. They don't want us to be happy. We just were having a good time. We were just being happy, and they were like, "No, we're going to come and beat you over the head with truncheons." I was like, "Okay."
Yo, it's true, man. It's true. Like, we're not allowed to have fun. I think that happened as well when I guess it was the early 80s, was it, where they were talking about like the clubs were only open till maybe 10 o'clock or something like that. And so there was nothing that would go on after hours. You know, it was only all shabeams and house parties
2
and
o'clock,
whatnot. And then there was some big march in order for clubs to actually open past 2 o'clock or whatever, right? Well, I heard about that anyway, but imagine that, man. And we're just like wasting us. Like, people can't even be bothered to go out now.
Right.
Like, imagine that, you know?
Right.
Like, the madness people used to go through is now it's what people can't be bothered to go through.
Right.
It's way more simple.
Yeah.
Just Uber to the front to the entrance, and that's it. Madness, man. The game done changed, as they say. The game done changed. Right, man. I think we went deep. We went deep, man. That was a lot of fun. I think it'll be good to get into the germ theory stuff, terrain theory stuff with you as well, because we didn't touch on it. But I think, it's obviously people get to know who you are and understand, like, we're all on the same path, man, trying to get to truth. You know what I mean? Get some justice out here. So we'd appreciate, if you wouldn't mind coming back on at some point and getting into all of that.
For sure.
I think there's quite a heavy topic, and especially where the nutrition side comes in to it all, it just plays hand in hand. And I definitely know that now. Over the last easily 13 years or whatever, like, I've seen the change in my health compared to before, when I didn't understand any of it, where I thought I was quenching my thirst with drinking the Peardies. You know what I mean? The chocolate milkshake.
Peardies isn't that bad.
Oh, man. Come on, man. Peardies, bruv. The Peardies, yeah. Listen to this. Peardies, and this is all the way back then. I didn't even have a clue, but I just knew that I was being jerked. I knew they were messing with me. I bought a Peardies. Not this Peardies. I'm on about a thing. It was called, not this one. This is the Peardies. You're thinking of this one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, no. It was called a pear, like Pear, Peardies. And it was like, this is, when I was like teenager and all that. It was like I thought it was a fizzy pear drink. That's how it was sold. Like people got their Fantas, orange juice, you know what I mean? This was pear. But I rated it. I was like, this is me, bro. I'm the only one in the crew that's drinking Peardies. Then after a few years of drinking, I thought, let me read the ingredients. Let me just, when I read the ingredients, brother, and it said apple juice, caramel, a bunch of E, this, that, and the third. There was nothing to do with pear in it. Nothing. Nothing at all. You know how heartbroken I was? Yo, it wasn't even a pear drink. They're calling it pear. I'm thinking, yeah. And I thought I was quenching my thirst with that. Had no idea. Used to get sore throats, spotty. I had this extra layer of, you know what I mean? I didn't know what it was until after, but you realize and you're like, wow. As soon as you just get rid of that sweet tooth, stop with the 2.5 sugars in your cups of tea. I know some of you lot still do that out there, 2.5, because you think, if I say 3, they're going to think I'm mad. So you just do 2.5 because you just can't do 2. 2 just ain't enough. All of that, cut it out. Have tea with no sugar, just for a little while. And your body will start getting used to it, switching up. And your mind, you start to realize how powerful you are. You're not controlled by these things. Eventually you'll get there, man. Like, slowly but surely, but we're all on that journey, man. All on that journey.
I say, if you want to talk about terrain theory next time, I'd give people some homework if they want, which is to watch, it's on YouTube, How Big Oil Changed the World. Have you seen that one?
Yes. Why is it still up on there? That's the only question.
Because they've given it a false title.
Oh, have they?
Because it's James Corbett, it's the Corbett report, but they haven't named him and they've given it a false description. But it's It was up quite recently. I looked How Big Oil Changed the World.
Because I watched that around 2020. That around the time when I had time to do it, and then and I really checked a lot of his stuff out. I think he's a really good journalist, but then saw that he might be a bit compromised. So there's a lot of them out there that they're being allowed to put out the truth, as long as they don't tell the whole truth. I think that for sure I did my own trying to, just check if any of that was true. And for sure, that whole documentary is on point. And it makes a lot of sense as well when you think about like the byproduct of oil being petroleum. Then you're like, wow. But what was really interesting about that was the fact that you see how easy it was, as much as it is a really big operation, but how easy it was to make sure that if you look at now, anywhere you go around in the world, if you go to the hospital, you're getting the same type of treatment.
Right.
Anywhere you go. So that means that they're all reading from the same book.
Right.
And so through that whole big oil thing with those, entities, they managed to make sure that all around the world, they're singing the same song when it comes to, health in their minds. And so that's how easy it is. Yeah, of course. Like, that's how easy it is for everyone to be under the same spell. It just grows and grows and grows. We take over all the schools, so now all these schools think they're doing the right thing. Like we talk about the inversion, it's all inverted. So you think you're doing the right thing, but you're actually poisoning or, and that carries on and on and on. And then you make the idea of being qualified in that field, that becomes something noble. That's like, oh, wow, you're a doctor. Oh, well done. Or you're a pharmacist. Everything to kind of make you feel like, yeah, it's really noble. It's a really good thing to do that. And then now that's the last thing you're ever thinking, is that actually that's against nature. That's against your very being. You know what I mean? So yeah, definitely check that out. That's called the How Big Oil Took Over.
Changed the World.
Changed the World. That's it. How Big Oil Changed the World. And then you'll get more of an understanding about how the germ theory was what took over, And really, it's the whole.
I'll put a link to it in the
man.
chat.
And trust. It's once you learn the other way, like the real way, the way that's true to nature, true to God. Like, what messes me up is all these religious people. It's like, you really think that your God would put some little virus thing floating around, and now everyone's gonna. If that was true, we'd all be gone. Everyone would have caught this thing and done. That's how it works. But you really think your God would do that? Crazy, man. But it's just hard to get your head around because from birth, you've seen everything in a whole different light.
Yeah.
That's the big shame of it. But yeah, luckily, we have super warrior empresses like yourself, putting the good word out there, spreading the good word, and also playing good music for the people then. Don't forget.
Yeah.
You got your show on Soho Radio, right? You DJ as well.
I was on this morning.
Yeah, wicked. Wicked. So yeah, and that's every week as well, every Wednesday.
It's every month now because they had 2 channels and they just got 1, so it's just once a month. Yeah.
Okay.
But there's over 100 shows on the Mixcloud, mixcloud.com/Kate Magic.
Wicked.
So I interview DJs and musicians about health. You should come on sometime.
Yeah. I'll be up for that, definitely. We can't get too deep on there though, can we? Because they might be like, ugh.
Yeah, I keep it a bit more.
Yeah. We want to say professional. Yeah, that was. I mean, we went through that on that night as well. I was trying to say to you how it's weird now because it's like you have to navigate your conversations with people, like how you can talk to them about certain things. When someone say to you about what did he say about the pharmacy?
Yeah,
his parents being pharmacists. So I know about health. So I know, and I was like, that doesn't work, man. But that was so funny, man. Yeah, that was really funny. But yeah, all right. So we better check out. Please get in touch with Kate. What's the best way to get in touch with you? Would it be Instagram or website?
Yeah, I'm on Instagram. I don't really like Instagram. I have a Telegram group, which is actually magic.
Telegram.
I post there every day.
Telegram. What is it?
Oh, the Magic Channel.
The Magic Channel.
Oh, the Magic Channel.
All right, I've got to join, boy. Telegram's the one now, man. I feel like it's slowly becoming Like you don't really need to be. If everyone got on there,
right,
people that you want to follow or be in touch with, you wouldn't need any of these other social networks because it kind of covers
I like
it all.
it because you can just look at what you want to look at.
Exactly.
And there's no feed, so you're not being forced to see stuff. Like Instagram, half of it isn't what you wanted to look at, and they just put stuff in the feed all the time, right?
Yeah.
And they hide the people that you did want to look at. So
that's
Telegram,
you
choose it
man.
yourself. So there's no scrolling. Scrolling is the thing that's really bad for your brain. There's no scrolling. Well, you can scroll on Telegram, but you don't have to scroll to find stuff. It's a bit different.
Yeah, I get what you mean. Is that why they do that? It makes sense. It makes sense because there is this weird thing that goes on. Like now on Insta, you've got to you have to choose to see the posts from the people you're following. It doesn't just show you the people you're following. It shows a whole bunch of other.
Yeah.
And then you're scrolling through because of that. You're trying to look for I just saw my friend's thing. Where is it? I think they're smart, man.
Yeah, it's the scrolling. It's dopamine.
Yeah.
It hijacks your dopamine.
Yeah, definitely. You're not lying there. Like we said, I was on the tube just yesterday, and you could see it. Everyone was.
Yeah.
I saw two people that bump into each other because they're both like, oh, sorry.
Right.
Wow.
Imagine how many scrolls you'd have had to go through 500 years ago. I've been scrolling all day. Moving truck of scrolls.
Oh, jeez.
Right, the shop is Raw Living, which you've been plugging with rawliving.co.uk.
Yeah.
My personal website is katemagic.com. And then Telegram is my favourite, but I'm on Instagram as well, which is Kate Magic.
Wicked. All right, you lot get in touch, man. Let's keep the community going. Please make some noise. Oh, in other words, some emojis. Emojis in the uncommon senses section, please, for Kate Magic. That's right, katemagic.com or rawliving.co.uk. The products are quality. Like, I've been talking about these things even throughout the podcast we've been doing. So it's just amazing that we get to have you on here and actually like break down, some of the wisdom that you possess. So we'll definitely do it again, man. Thank you so much for this, Kate.
Thank you. I would just say, remember that you're magic, everyone. Remember your own magic.
Love. That's
Thank
love
you.
right there.
Thank you very much for coming on.
Thank you so much.
Appreciated. Hopefully see you again soon.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Love. Wicked, man. Ladies and gents, that was Kate Magic right there. Jeez, you lot went off in the comment section, boy. I could see that. The uncommon senses. I think there were some arguments going on there. Is that true?
Yes.
Yeah, there was some arguing going on. That's what we like to see, man. Some open-minded debate.
Yeah.
But I hope you lot got something from that because for me, that's like a sensei right there. I learned a lot just digging through a website, looking at different products that will make me go and search about that product, try and find out a bit more and be like, oh, wow. So like the MSM was something that I came across and was like, what? I think someone mentioned it to me. It might be Jargon who mentioned the MSM. And then I got it, thought, oh, let me try it, And I'd always that thing in the back of my mind about, if it tastes like shit, it's probably good for you. Like this tastes like, but she's right. You do get used to it after a while in a weird way, but it proper tastes like, not like in a dirty way. It's clean, but it's very bitter. It's like very But the difference, when you can see the difference, and then also when you can feel it, when you start cleaning up your system, you start to feel that a lot more. So, that's love right there, man. Really appreciate Kate Magic coming on.
No, it's good to IBMC saying, no, we all agree about everything. No, it's good to have a bit of disagreement. That's that's what we like as well, is that people...
That's how we learn.
People are all... Yeah, but, you don't want everyone coming in just all saying exactly the same thing, Yeah. I'm still to persuade everyone on piss. You know what I mean? It's like you lot are still all like, as far as I'm concerned, I'm out on my own. I'm Gandhi of the piss world.
Yeah, he's definitely dandy. Dandy of the piss world. But we got to speak to someone about urine therapy. I got a friend, she's out in Mexico, I believe. And she might have to, we might have to get her in because she went hardcore on it. And she
ended up in Mexico.
No. She started out there.
Got to get cleaner.
I think she started on it out there, but you lot can exchange notes on the benefits and but yeah, urine therapy. That's another deep one.
Yeah, I mean the word says if you're a syncretist, you're in therapy.
Oh, okay.
You might have. Oh, you're in therapy.
You're in therapy. Oh, Conscious Minds TV. Shout out to DVG in the building, man. What do you think about that one? You're in therapy.
Paging Mem DVG.
DVG. Let us know what you think of that. Yeah, man, for real. That's a good one. Shout out to Irish, man, for the super chat. Love, bro. He threw a what's that? A bluey up there. Is that what we call that? Because I guess it's turquoise, but £5 is blue.
Yeah, no, it's nice. It's right in the middle, so couldn't really stop.
Much love for that, bro.
Yeah, thanks for that.
I'm glad you lot got into that as well, man, because that was quite exciting for me. I ain't gonna lie. It's been good doing this, like being able to spread that kind of knowledge and from the people that from the horse's mouth, so to speak. Because as much I remember you said it, that stuck with me when it's like. About trying to explain to people about, you don't need to worry about nothing floating in the air. And then you're like, yeah, and they're hearing it from some like underground wrap-up. And I was like, shit, I didn't even think of myself like that when I'm telling them, but it's true. It's like, brother, who were you? Like, all you know is like patterns and bars and, do you know what I mean?
Poetry, I like that album you done.
Yeah. Yeah. I just want to hear some more. I just want to hear more Aggie Mice, man.
Are you gonna do a wrap up
though? I'm trying to help you like live your life properly. You're asking me for another wrap up, man. Yeah, the worst was when people were asking for a wrap up, like 2012, like COVID. I was like, bruv, you serious? Like, so you want 6 minutes of RIP, this on RIP, that? Nah, ease out, man. Matt Hancock, like the things I would have said as well, boy, that's it. I would have been cancelled, as they say. Whatever the hell that means. I don't even know what that means anymore. What does it mean to be cancelled? It means that all your social networks will be deactivated, accounts will be deactivated, or like all your TV shows. Anything you've got going on basically won't happen.
Yeah,
anymore.
or you might lose a job. You might go to work, and then they're like, "We can't have someone saying something like that in public." And then you're like, "Oh, I thought this was work though, not my social media account." And then they're like, "Yeah, but you work here," and
Lineker, was he cancelled, or they're trying to
it's sort of
avoid him being cancelled?
It turned out in the end, it's like he sort of runs the BBC, didn't it? Because he sort of said he was dictating to them what happened. He's the highest paid employee at the BBC.
Oh, is he? Yeah. Wow, Walker's Chris, man.
Even after the pay cut. He took a pay cut.
He was the highest paid, but my brother was saying to me that he's hardly on there. Like, he's only on there for the, like...
It's true, but he's still the highest paid, presenter on the BBC. And then he took a pay cut to try and equal out the pay for the women because he was earning so much more. That when they done all that stuff about inequality in the pay, the pay gap, then he took a cut in order to make himself look a bit more like he was actually into the stuff he was talking about. So, but he's still the highest paid.
Even though he took a cut.
Even though he took a cut, yeah,
What?
It went from like 1.7 to 1.5 million a year or something.
So what did he just like gave them like. Who is it? Ian Wright and a few of them were like, yeah, Shearer. They were like, yeah, I'll stand by him. He's just like, yeah, bruv, I'll sort you out. Don't worry, man. I'm still getting a little bit more than you.
When I dodge that tax bill, I'll give you a bit of that.
Jeez, and he's dodging the tax bills. There you hear it again, ladies and gents. Dodging the tax, man. We got to follow. What we should do is hit up Gary, like, how do you do it, bruv? How do you get into the private? You heard Kate Magic talking earlier about she was going to do a one-day course about sovereignty, about common law. Bam. How do you know Gary Lineker ain't involved in common law? He must know about it. If my man's ducking tax like that.
If he don't, then he's just working with, solicitors and all that who understand where to put it all, don't they?
Put it in a trust. you know, and this is the thing, it's the persona of Gary Lineker that has dodged tax. But the man, Gary, that's his given name.
What, Gary of the House Lineker?
Yeah, Gary of the House
Lineker.
He's cool. He ain't got to pay no tax. That's why he knows that. Jimmy Carr, them man, they know that. They must know it. You wouldn't be out in the public all hotting yourself up, dodging taxes. You never know. Have we got a glitch in the matrix?
Yeah, so some reason. It's flashing.
You know, when truth comes out, man, you know what I mean? We're on mediums now that don't really want us to be talking the talk. You know what I mean? So these things...
Let me just see if I close Zoom down, whether that ends it.
All right, should I close it on?
No, I think that's it. Yeah, I think it's when you have Zoom open. No, start it again.
Yeah. Yeah, see, my camera's flicking. You're right, man. Gremlins up in this mother lover. I'm glad you lot seen it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. See? Martha Sovereign, shout out, says, along with his footy, ledge status, of course. See it there? Legendary status. He's got to know satin. Hey, man, is he not Sir Gary Lineker?
Probably. Yeah.
He's got satin, man. Hey, man, they know satin, man. They got some secret handshake satin, bro. Hey, man, they covers and square up satin, bro. You know what I mean? Hey, we got to accept it, man. They're coming out as well.
He's got something, definitely.
Yeah, man. You ain't in this, you know what I mean? You're not deep in this level, like hired, paid, and you're hardly doing anything.
No,
you're involved.
Yeah, I mean, look at that. Look on that on the screen. Gary Lineker, religion, and
is he? Oh, right.
Oh, right. Okay. Let's stop talking about that then.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's
okay.
Might make more sense than a mother lover right there. We'll leave that right there. So we'll move on before we glitch up any more of this matrix. Yo. All right. Next up, we got to give a shout out to our brother. You know what I mean? Our brother, he knows what he's doing, man. Sam Eager. Sam Evans, man. CannaSaresUK.com, ladies and gentlemen, if you want to get yourself quality CBD products. And when I talk about quality, I'm talking about some quality you might not never know nothing about. Before we get into it, let me just tell you about some backed research to do with CBD. All right. It's obviously legal, as we know, because usually it will contain less than 0.3% THC. And, you know, that's the psychoactive effect. So you ain't got to worry about getting all twisted. Some of you lot can't blaze. We understand that. Roll call, by the way. Let's find out what you lot are on. Roll call out there, by the way. CBD. Don't worry about getting affected by any way. You need to turn it up for me in here. I can't. I need to get the emotional effect. You know what I mean? I'm trying to go for my Morgan Freeman, English Morgan Freeman out here, the voice of God, when I speak like this. So, yeah. You have, apparently there are 24 benefits of CBD and its potential, which can be things like calming epilepsy, can relieve anxiety and depression, reduce inflammation, help improve cancer-related symptoms, can relieve pain, can help with multiple sclerosis, may relieve nerve pain, neuropathy, pardon me there, can combat addiction for all you porn addicted mother lovers out there. You know what I mean? They got sprays especially for you. You can benefit with healthy skin. Can help with arthritis, known to help with lupus as well. There are many benefits to this product right here. It can work as an antioxidant. It can help with Alzheimer's. It can help with your pets as well, if they get the shakes. Could act as a mood enhancement and various other things that I'm not going to get into now because we don't have enough time, bitches and bitchettes. But do understand, if ever you need a quality CBD product, whether it be Belgian chocolates, dark chocolates, natural CBD balms, sprays, indica, sativa, or what I like, the full spectrum. You can also get these in a paste to help with your aches and pains. And do not forget, before we go any further, your favorites should be the chocolate stirrers. Ladies and gentlemen, if you want to get yourself some quality CBD products, do go to canacersuk.com. When you get to the checkout, make sure you type in the acronym of this show, something you might not never know nothing about, which is SYMNNKNA in uppercase, and you'll get yourself 20% off any of the products. Mother lovers. Yeah, that's right. That sounds what? Hey, that's why, I was trying to go for MysDiggi Freeman right there. I don't know if it worked, but I'm working on it. You know what I mean? It's an open workshop right here. But yeah, man, really enjoyed that chat there. I hope Kate enjoyed it, because yeah, we really went in right there. There was and it's amazing because there's so much to get into with it all. I think I want to do some presentations on some of these supplements as well that we're talking about, the superfoods.
Yeah.
Because it will help me as well understand a bit more. I was digging and I found my old, the book that I was using when I was studying the nutrition stuff. And there's so much bits and bobs popping out. And I was like, oh yeah, that's how I remember this and this and that and third. But I didn't, say what she mentioned about bee pollen, that still didn't come to me yet. You know what I mean? So there's a whole bunch more, mother lovers. But yo, we want to give a thank you to everyone that was locked in tonight, man. We appreciate all you mother lovers, all the silent listeners as well, man. If you can hit the like button, subscribe as well. Also subscribe to the Odyssey channel, because we're going to get, once we get onto the stuff that the powers that be might not want you to know about, you know what I mean? Odyssey will be cool. We'll be cool.
That's going to become our base for more dangerous stuff.
Yeah, dangerous mother lovers.
Dangerous information.
Hey, big up Irish, man. Love. He said to do a cooking show on the podcast. That might be a good idea. Cook up some
live
CMOS.
Cooking show.
Yeah, we'd have to get a cooker in there somehow.
Yeah.
Bluefoot's probably got a travel cooker.
We gas ourselves, though, I think, in a confined space.
Yeah, that's true, yeah.
Cooking thing.
We have to
Might have to get an electric ring. Or, do something. Maybe when it comes to the summer, we'll do an outside, an
barbecue.
OB. We'll do an OB.
Yeah, maybe we'll do
an OB. We'll do the old, we'll do the shit you might not never know nothing about roadshow, where we go around all summer and we're in different seaside resorts every week.
We do a meet-up.
Or a barbecue. Meet-up, MEAT.
Yeah, MEAT.
Have a meet-up.
The vegans, we can come with the veg-up.
That would be, actually, it might be an idea, yeah, that we do a summer meet-up and everybody in here comes, and instead of doing a live show, we just actually do an actual show in front of you lot, and you all come and we all meet up somewhere and we have a barbecue or something, and then we don't actually broadcast, we just do a live show.
Live show, yeah. Get a guest
with interaction, and you lot can do the chat thing, and we can be like, can you stop talking? We're trying to do a show.
But you got to do it with pens. You got to write. We'll
have a flip chart, and you have to come up and write something on the flip chart.
Have a chalkboard.
Yeah. And you have to come up and write on it, and you argue with each other, and it's all silent, and we then talk about some of the things you've said and ignore some of the other things you've said.
And then we got to go through the flip book and shout you out. And you got to hold tight until we get to the end of it. Right, boy. Shout to IBMCs. He was getting deep, man. Big up to your more, as always. Love Sistering. Shout to Martha Sovereign, Liz Williams, Turbo Tubberlicious, Irish Mr. Green. Big up, man. Yeah, boy. IBMCs went in tonight. That's what we like to see, though. Regantology, King Chico, salute. Yes, man, all the crew that were locked in tonight, man. Glad you lot enjoyed it. Big up the silent listeners as well, man. We see you, mother lovers, We see you, man. Hey, if you can, please share like, if you enjoy what we're doing, man, please share the video. You know, if there's information on there that you think people should check out as well, hit in the comments and put the time code in. Put the time code in the comments. Say, yeah, this was because, you know, them things always help people get to where things that might help them. So I've noticed that that's quite an important thing. We always love all the comments you lot share with us as well, man. You know what I mean? It makes us know that we're doing the right thing here. We just want to build the community because, you know, there's a lot more people out there that, you know, want to hear some shit they might not never know nothing about. Big up to MemDVG, a.k.a. Conscious Minds TV. Make sure you subscribe to them. Subscribe to everyone in here that's got a channel as well, man, that's doing stuff. Hopefully next week we should get some of our brothers from stateside coming through to chat the chat. So we'll find out very soon who that be. Who that would be, you know what I'm saying? Shout out to my brother Essa. I missed his show on Saturday. I was fuming, wanted to get down there, but I heard it was crazy. Shout out to Shorty Blitz and Mr. Thing and Trini Gladiator that were down there. But yo, man, some new music coming very soon, mother lovers. I'll tell you that right down now. We might give you a little, maybe next week we might give them a little, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So tune in, man. As always, man, one love to all you mother lovers all around the world, man, locked in. We appreciate you each and every time, bitches and bitchettes. No discrimination. Hey. My name is MysDiggi. That's Dan DNA. You know what we're about. There's some shit you might not never know about, mother lovers. And guess what? We're out.